And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 8th meeting of Carlisle Borough Council. Tonight, we will begin with a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Crampsey. Tonight, we'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence led by Councilor Crampsey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Earlier this week, our community came together in a show of solidarity for our Asian and Asian American community members. I think it was a very powerful sign of support. So tonight I wanted us to take a moment to reflect in silence, to think about those who are impacted by hateful words, hateful actions, and how we can better protect and support those all throughout our community. Thank you. And now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Crampsey. And now, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Crampsey?
Here.
Ms. Fulham-Winston?
Here.
Mr. Hicks?
Here.
Ms. Landis?
Here.
Mr. Schultz?
Here.
Mayor Scott?
Here.
Mr. Stubbe?
Here.
Ms. Delmain?
Here.
And Mr. Spear?
Here.
All right, thank you very much. Next up is citizens to be heard and visitors to be heard. We had one individual contact us beforehand, so they will go first, and then I'll recognize anyone in the audience that would like to address council. First up, just want to give an opportunity to recognize Jackson Doyle from Boy Scout Troop 168. He is joining us this evening for his Citizenship in the Community badge. And Jackson, I don't know if you want to say a few words or just say hi, but we welcome you. Yeah, you have to unmute your mic first, Jackson.
Yeah.
There you go.
I got kicked out, so I couldn't hear what you heard.
That's okay. Yeah, I just wanted to welcome you, and if you'd like to say a few words about your Citizenship in Community badge, just tell us a little bit about it.
Basically what I'm doing is I am discussing what it means to be a good citizen in our community, and I need to discuss the rights, duties, obligations, and explain how I can demonstrate being a good citizen in the community.
Thank you. That is fantastic, and hopefully you'll get some good examples here tonight. But anyway, welcome, and we hope you come back. Thank you. All right. Next, I'll recognize anyone in the audience that would like to address council. And Vicky, if you'll come to the podium, and you know the drill.
Yeah.
Name and address for the record.
Victoria Opillo Hamill, 715 Sherwood Drive. I'm here on behalf of Janelle Crossley, who was running against Barb Gleim, and she wrote something that she wanted me to read. I will then further the full extent of it all to Stephanie, that you can read the full extent of codes that she quotes and such. As most are aware, I, Janelle Kayla Crossley, am an 11-year-old advocate for gender identity in central Pennsylvania with a proven track record. I was also the 2020 candidate for the PA HD 199, currently held by Representative Barb Gleim. Although we were not victorious in 2020, I am your candidate for 2022, as I am making my second attempt in hopes of bringing change, equity, equality, and leadership in the 199th of Cumberland County. As most are aware by now, Barb Gleim has introduced HB 972, which is titled Fairness in Women's Sports Act, which has been created to ban transgender girls and women from competing in women's sports. This bill has been created to display hate, bigotry, and discrimination of those within the transgender community, and especially towards our defenseless children within the gender spectrum. When kids play academic sports, they learn the value of teamwork, of coaching, of playing by the rules, and leadership. Trans youth deserve to have these benefits as much as any other child. Discrimination is wrong, and we will fight this and any other attempts to abrogate the rights of marginalized populations. There have not been any cases of transgender girls dominating sports leagues. We have seen high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide attempts from rejection of someone's gender identity. Playing sports is not all about winning or losing. It is about how you play the game, learning teamwork. Legislators need to work on the issues that truly impact young people and women's sports. Lower pay to female athletes, less media coverage for women's sports, and cultural environments that lead to high dropout rates for diverse athletes instead of manufacturing problems and solutions that hurt the kids we are supposed to be protecting. Barb Gleim, the prime sponsor of this bill, and all co sponsors of this horrendous bill, are displaying hate and discrimination toward the transgender constituents within their governing districts. And even more disturbing, they are displaying hate and discrimination towards our trans children. Some of these districts that these lawmakers are supposed to be representing have non discrimination ordinances, such as the Borough of Carlisle. The following is just a portion of the ordinance held by the Carlisle Borough. The Borough of Carlisle finds that it is of high public importance to adopt appropriate legislation to ensure that all persons, regardless of actual or perceived race, color, religious creed, ancestry, sex, national origin, handicap, use of guide or support animals because of blindness, deafness, or physical handicap of the user, or because the user is a handler or trainer of support or guide animals, or sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, enjoy the full benefits of citizenship and are afforded equal opportunities for employment, housing, commercial property, and public accommodation. And I will then send to Stephanie codes that she does quote along with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki, for bringing that to our attention. I believe Janelle is absolutely right. This council has stood against hate and discrimination, even more so the fact that we have a Human Relations Commission ordinance. So unless there's any objection, I'd like to direct staff to draft a letter in opposition to this legislation to be sent to Representative Gleim as well as the entire Cumberland County legislative delegation. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on this?
I would certainly support that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, we seem that we have someone else as well. Sir, name and address for the record, please.
My name is Sean Moore at 121 North Bedford Street. I actually am a transgender man, so I'm here on behalf of the trans community as well. The T in LGBT is not silent, and I just want to say I grew up in Carlisle. I faced lots of bullying before I started transitioning when I was 25, and I will be 32 next week. Due to legal reasons, I can't say why or where, but I was discriminated against at a job here in Carlisle, and I know that we have the LGBT ordinance, but I feel like there needs to be more done with that aspect because it's clearly not working. And like Vicki pointed out with Janelle's letter, the anxiety and the depression and the suicide from being discriminated against like that, I'm up here shaking. I don't know if I'm on video or not, but it's really hard. And where people to, I believe the saying that you bleed and you bleed and you bleed. And this bill that a representative of Pennsylvania is trying to pass to exclude people is only going to make the anxiety and the depression and the suicide rates go up more. And Pennsylvania, and definitely in Carlisle, there should be no hate for anybody, and anybody that holds a seat like Barb currently holds should be in support of everyone, whether she agrees with it or not. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for coming forward. I know it's not easy sometimes for anyone to come before us and talk about their thoughts and how they feel about something, but we do appreciate you coming forward. Thank you so much. I don't see anybody else that would like to be recognized, so we will now move on to the consent agenda. This is a list of routine items which are not controversial in nature and which don't need further discussion. They can be acted on by one motion in their current form. If discussion is desired on any particular item, any member of council or the public may request the item be removed from the consent agenda, and that item will be considered separately. For members of council, is there any agenda item in the consent agenda that you'd like to see removed? Okay. Any member of the public see anything they would like to discuss separately? And that's everything at the bottom of page 1, including all of page 2. All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Landis. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. And again, that's everything at the bottom of page 1, up to and including all of page 2. We'll now move on to the regular agenda. There are no tabled, continued, or recurring items, so we'll move to reports from elected officials. And I have one item under Mayor's report, a resolution in support of urging Cumberland County Board of Commissioners to delay and reassess its decision to divest of the Cumberland County Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Recognize Councilor Fulham Winston, who brought this resolution forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Late last year, the county commissioners announced that they were looking to find buyers for the Cumberland County Nursing Home. Many of us feel that this is not an appropriate action at this time, especially given the fact that we are in the middle of a pandemic, the worst since 1918, and to do anything to dilute or diminish the health care available to our residents at this time just seems irresponsible. And so this resolution is asking the county commissioners to slow the process, take a deeper look at both the conditions around the county home and also at the potential bidders to see whether or not they would provide better services than are already being provided. Currently, the two potential bidders have records that are not as good as those of the Claremont Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Center staff. And we think it's time to, many of us feel that it is time to slow the process down and take a deeper look to make sure that we are making, that the best decision to benefit as many residents as possible is taken.
Thank you very much. Is that a motion?
That is a motion. Do I need to read the resolution?
You don't have to read the resolution, but if you just want to make your motion, then we can.
All right. I would move that Borough Council join our friends and neighbors at the Newville Borough Council and the Mount Holly Borough Council and request that the county commissioners slow down the process and take a deeper look at the entire process and planning for Claremont Nursing Home.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We'll give that one to Brenda. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Council. Up next, reports from committees, Budget and Finance.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, first, in order to finance our capital improvement plan that we budgeted with this year's budget, along with the refinancing of the 2018 obligation, I move that Council adopt a resolution relating to the 2021 debt issuance for the purpose of providing capital project financing and also for the refinancing of the 2018 obligation to include appointment of Davenport and Company as financial advisor and Eckert Seaman as bond counsel for the debt issuance. Along with that, a declaration that the borough intends to reimburse itself, if necessary, from the 2021 debt issuance for project expenditures related to those projects listed in the borough's capital improvement plan.
Deputy Mayor Schultz makes a motion to adopt the resolution relating to 2021 debt issuance. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council appoint APPI Energy as the borough's solar electric consultant and authorize the distribution of a request for proposals related to the planning and design of a potential solar energy project.
Deputy Mayor Schultz makes a motion to appoint AAPI Energy as the borough's solar electric consultant. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I'll just note that this allows us to move forward with the potential solar array at the wastewater treatment plant, along with accomplishing several of council's goals in renewable energy and reducing our carbon footprint.
Thank you. All very laudable goals. Councilor Hicks, anything?
No, I think this is well thought out, and we're still penciling in our plan. This looks completely consistent with whatever direction we end up going, so I fully support it.
Great. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
And finally, I move that council approve the participation in the Keystone Purchasing Network for the purposes of bidding and awarding a vehicle fuel contract for the period July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2022.
Deputy Mayor Schultz makes a motion to approve the borough's participation in the Keystone Purchasing Network. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Community Planning and Smart Growth, Councilor Cramsey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I have two items tonight. My first item, I'll make a motion that Borough Council may adopt an ordinance authorizing the execution of a cable franchise agreement between the Borough of Carlisle and Shenandoah Cable Television, LLC.
All right. Councilor Cramsey makes a motion to adopt an ordinance for the execution of a new cable franchise agreement with Shenandoah Cable TV. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, if you please.
Mr. Cramsey?
Aye.
Ms. Fulham Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Hicks?
Aye.
Ms. Landis?
Aye.
Mr. Schultz?
Aye.
Mr. Stubbe?
Aye.
And Mayor Scott?
Aye. Oh, that's right. Motion. Wow, I forgot myself there for a minute. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And then my second item is a bit longer, but I'll make a motion that Borough Council may reapprove a final land development plan for Lot 4, Phase 1, Northside Village, prepared by BL Companies. Original date July 22nd, 2020. Latest revision April 2nd, 2021. Subject to the applicant's acceptance and satisfactory resolution of the conditions listed in Council's action on September 10th, 2020, and is supplemented by the following: a revised developers guarantee improvement agreement between the borough and the property owner and Builder Services Group Inc. / Kenneth Holmes for the full and satisfactory completion of all required Lot 4 on-site and adjacent Street C public right-of-way improvements, subject to the review of the borough solicitor. Also, a revised stormwater operation and maintenance agreement between the borough and the property owner and the Builder Services Group Inc. / Kenneth Holmes for the full and satisfactory installation, access, and maintenance for Lot 4, subject to the review of the borough engineer and solicitor. Third, the receipt of a sufficient financial security in the form of a letter of credit or issuance of a bond satisfactory to the borough engineer and solicitor. And finally, a revised schedule of construction completion, which shall be inserted into all Lot 4 and 6 agreements.
since you read that so well, I'll just say that Councilor Crampsey makes a motion to reapprove a final land development plan. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item?
Yep, Mr. Mayor, thanks for that. So tonight, I think we have on with us Mr. Brandt, who from MBL companies as well, who might be able to give council a brief update before we take a final vote, if that works for them.
You're recognized. If they're here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Whenever you're ready.
Hi, this is Charlie Scanzello with BL Companies, 2601 Marketplace, Suite 350, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 17110. There's not much more to add to what you had said, Councilor Crampsey. Simply said that this is just a brief update to the plan set that is putting into phasing. In the plans, Lot 4 is the initial phase of this project, and Lot 6 will be conducted and constructed after the completion of Lot 4. With Lot 4, the improvements on the Lot 4 side of Street C are also included. And then going along in the future, whenever Lot 6 begins construction, those improvements on that side will be included as part of that.
Great. Thank you so much. Are there any questions from council, staff, or our solicitor while we have the folks with us? All right. I'm not seeing any. Thank you very much. And then, Mr. Mayor, I guess now we can take a vote.
Yes, we can. Seeing no other council members seeking recognition, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. That ends my report.
All right. I think my motions will rival yours tonight, but they're basically public safety, and it's all street closures. I move that council authorize the closure of the patio of First Presbyterian Church at High and Hanover Streets, sidewalks of North and South Hanover Streets, and East and West High Street sidewalks, 1 block out from Hanover and High, and the first block of West Dickinson Avenue on Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. beginning April 14th, 2021 through December 29th, 2021 for the Farmers Market on the Square, sponsored by the Downtown Carlisle Association. DCA would be responsible for 10% of the fixed costs and 100% of the variable costs. Applicants shall be responsible for compliance with any and all applicable COVID-19 precautionary measures at the time of the event. I so move.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Again, this is the Farmers Market, and we do this every year. All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next, I move that council authorize the closure of the first block of North Pitt Street to Dickinson Avenue on Saturday, May 8th, 2021 from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the annual Multicultural Festival, the Imani Festival. The Imani Committee is requesting the first 3 blocks of West High Street, Hanover to College be closed, and the first half of the North Pitt Street and first full block of South Pitt Street. The Imani Festival will be responsible for 100% of the variable costs and 10% of the fixed costs incurred by the Borough of Carlisle to conduct this event. PennDOT approval would also be required. Applicants will be responsible for compliance of any and all applicable COVID-19 precautionary measures at the time of event. And just to note, in the event PennDOT does not approve the West High Street State Road closure request, the following contingency plan will be put into effect. Closure of the first block of North Pitt Street and second and third blocks of West Lowther Street. I so move.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this? Again, we welcome Imani Festival back.
Just to say it would be delightful to have the Imani Festival back again after having to miss it last year.
100%. I agree. All right. Hearing nothing further, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. All right. And finally, I move the council authorize the temporary closure of several streets for Dickinson College's 247th commencement on May 15th, 2021 from 8 a.m. to 4:30, with Dickinson College reimbursing the borough 100% of the variable costs and 10% of the fixed costs incurred by the Borough of Carlisle to hold the event. Approval is contingent upon PennDOT's approval. Dickinson College is requesting that High Street between College and West, North College between West Lowther and High Street. Applicants shall be responsible for the compliance of any and all applicable COVID-19 precautionary measures at the time of the event. I so move.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Again, this is for the 247th commencement of Dickinson College. Espoir, anything? Nothing? Okay. I mean, it's exciting, right? Yeah. Okay, because you're involved. All right. Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Good luck, Espoir. All right, that ends my report. Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one item tonight. I ask Borough Council to award the unit price construction contract for the 2021 pedestrian curb ramp rehabilitation project to the lowest responsive bidder, Porter Construction LLC of Mount Holly Springs, Pennsylvania, in the amount of $147,596. Borough Council may also authorize any contract change orders needing prompt action in the amount not to exceed $5,000 each, to be approved at the discretion of the borough manager and brought before council for retroactive approval.
Ms. Fulham Winston makes a motion to approve a construction contract with Porter Construction LLC of Mount Holly Springs. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
And that completes my report.
Thank you very much. Now on to new business. If anyone would like to address council on any matter relating to borough government, they may do so at this time. Anybody on the Zoom call? Anybody in person? Okay. Yeah, ma'am, please. The microphone and name and address for the record.
My name is Betty Stanton, and I'm 154 West North Street. And I'm going to complain about 3 cars on the street. They never move them. They belong to the same person. I mean, it's a small parking space. No one can park when they clean one side of the street. Half the time they don't clean my side because this one car parked there. It's there now. And they said they have something on it, but the one guy has a van, and it's he died, but the sister lives in the house, and she has a brand new car, and she also has that van, I think, plus the son's car, which is 3, and people, they can park in the back, and 3 people with cars can't park on the street when you should only have 1 or even 2. It's hard to park. And then she'll come up, and because she's got a handicap spot, and she'll say, call the policeman because the girl next door parks this much in the blue, and she wants them to move the car. It's hard to park.
Yeah, it would be nice if folks could just get along, but I understand sometimes people are hard-headed.
I've been here 87 years.
I don't doubt it.
They're not doing the right thing.
Well, you've given us your name and address. If you could maybe give your phone number to staff, Mr. Snyder there, and I will make sure that someone follows up with you to discuss this with you further.
Well, the policemen, they come by, they don't do nothing.
Okay.
I mean, I can do what they do. Give me the job.
We'll have someone follow up with you.
Yeah, okay. My phone number?
Well, you don't want to do this now. How about when you're done?
Yeah.
Unless you want the whole world to have your phone number. Yeah, you can
talk
to the gentleman right here.
But I'm sure they have it upstairs. Because I go to codes quite regular.
Understand.
I'm always down here.
But if you can give it to our assistant borough manager, he'll make sure it's followed.
Yeah, because it's not fair to other people. My grandson parks in the back. I park in the front. But they don't park in front of my house because I made a blue line. My blue line.
Thank you.
Because they want to charge me $300 and I'm not paying. Thank you.
You're welcome. Staff will follow up. All right. Now we have reports from council members and staff, and I will just call on you as I see you on my screen, beginning with Deputy Mayor Schultz.
Mr. Mayor, I just echo Councilor Crampsey's comments from earlier this evening about the walk for Asians and Asian Americans in our community. You of course were there and gave I think very important comments about a call to action. It was a powerful ceremony, powerful walk, and it always impresses me how much this community gets out and gets involved. And as you said that evening, we can't just walk. We have to put words and actions behind what we do. So, and it was so perhaps coincidental that I went straight from that, along with you and Councilor Stubbe, to interview several members of our community who have applied for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So it was although a long night, I think it was an important night for all of us. So I'm just appreciative of living in the community I live in.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Stubbe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have one item tonight, and it kind of piggybacks off of the end of Deputy Mayor Schultz's comments. I did just want to give everybody an update on where things stand with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. As you all know, Council approved a resolution establishing the Carlisle Truth and Reconciliation Commission at its March 11th meeting. Following that, there was a public posting for the openings on the commission that was posted available online, Borough's website and on social media accounts starting on March 15th. The application period was open through the end of March, at the end of the day on March 31st. During that time, we received 19 applications for the 7 open positions on the commission. And we're now in the process of interviewing those applicants. We have an interview panel that consists of Safrania Perry, Sonia Brown, Donnie Martinez, Mayor Scott, Deputy Mayor Schultz, and me. And we are in the middle of those interviews. They'll likely take throughout the most of the rest of the month, as you can imagine, with that volume of applicants, which was great to see. Our goal then will be to deliberate and provide council a recommendation on who we feel should be appointed to the commission. And ideally, that will be on our agenda for the May council meeting for us to take action on appointing those individuals. If anybody has any questions outside of that, you're more than welcome to reach out to me following the meeting. There really isn't a whole lot of other information to share aside from that at this point, though, until we have completed all those interviews. But that's all I have for this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that update, Councilor. Councilor Landis.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. I have a few items tonight. I know we're going fast. I'm going to slow down just a little bit. One is that on Saturday, we are going to have our West Side neighborhood cleanup. And so we're going to meet in Heberlig Palmer Park at 9 a.m. I have adopted the railroad track space behind the police station over the past couple of years, and I went to our compost site this week and I scavenged a whole bunch of discards from other people's lawns, and it's going to get replanted back there. Also, Janelle Crossley, who was referenced at the beginning of this, she donated a number of trees and shrubs last year. Some of the trees unfortunately did not make it, so we're going to try again, but I want to thank her again for that. But if you want to come out, just meet in the park at 9 a.m. and we'll, plant or clean up some litter or whatever, but it would be good to people and just sort of get out in the community. I was also at the march this week. It was excellent. I just concur with what's been said already. So my longer bit is a little bit of information and an ask. So there is something called the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. It is a 862-page manual governing traffic signals and signs. And the premise is solid. It's why stop signs all look alike, and everyone can understand how to follow signs and signals. But the first major update is happening since 2009. and comments can be made until May 14th. So I've taken some information from a few articles to kind of bring everyone up to speed. I know that maybe council knows a little bit about this. Obviously, our public works folks use this often, but I don't think that this is something that's very obvious to most residents. So real quick education. Pedestrian advocates increasingly see the manual as a means to better protect them, arguing that for too long it has emphasized vehicle speed at the expense of safety. The 85th percentile speed rule, which recommends that agencies set speed limits within 5 miles per hour of the 85th percentile speed of free-flowing traffic. We set speed limits based on how fast cars drive, not based on the context or the safety impact of the speed, said Mike McGinn, former Seattle mayor. He says, I remember once back when I was still mayor, I asked my local DOT for a stop sign at a dangerous intersection, and they told me they couldn't do it because it didn't meet the warrants of the MUTCD. So essentially, our engineers are saying that, and I'm not saying all engineers, simply in this context, he was saying that all of our streets in the city were presumptively safe for pedestrians because it followed the guidelines of this manual. The MUTCD has long perpetuated dangerous guidelines, like I said, the 85th percentile rule, as well as crosswalk signal timing standards that don't always give slower walkers enough time to traverse wide roads. It also says that crosswalks and traffic signals are not warranted at intersections that are crossed by fewer than 93 pedestrians an hour unless 5 pedestrians are struck by drivers at that location in a single year, a ridiculously deadly standard. So we use this, and we talked about it, I think, the last meeting with the 85th percentile when we talked of possible changes to Bedford and East. I've brought up concerns about safety along the B Street corridor starting in December 2018, and that corridor has 3 schools. And when we discussed it, it seemed like there weren't enough accidents to warrant a possible speed limit change from 35 down to 25, which is what most of our residential streets are. Possibly some adjustment could be made at Franklin Street, only because there were more accidents there. But I will continue to say that students don't ride their bikes on that road because of these perceived safety concerns. The school safety zone is only lit a few hours a day, but kids travel home from practice and other places all summer and after school. And people in our community love to point out when kids and adults ride on the sidewalk, but there are reasons why folks do that. And if we don't give them roads that feel safe enough, they go to other options. So a couple more things about the MUTCD. Transportation Secretary Pete has referenced the notorious MUTCD at the March 8th appearance of the National League of Cities. How that manual is written and what it calls for could actually have a lot of consequences in terms of how people get around, in terms of safety, even in terms of equity. I promise I'm almost finished here. Okay. Its authority comes with teeth. The Federal Highway Administration can theoretically withhold federal dollars to communities that don't abide by the manual. Cities, meanwhile, often cite the manual as evidence for their streets that were designed according to federal specifications when facing litigation over traffic issues. So there are 2 organizations, the National Association of City Transportation Officials and American Walks have connected to try to think of how we can have a better impact on this rewrite. So they have urged their members to write the Federal Highway Administration, asking for it to reframe and rewrite the manual to focus more on safety and equity. And this is important because this is the stuff that we talk about every day, citing the data that shows higher deaths in Black and brown neighborhoods, so it might not be in Carlisle, but this manual is used everywhere. Other cities argue that the manual is too prescriptive. In 2019, after the city of Ames, Iowa painted crosswalks in rainbow colors to show solidarity with its LGBTQ community, the Federal Highway Administration sent a written request that the crosswalks be removed. They delightfully declined that request. So I am asking that the borough, I can work with staff, write a letter with specifics of how we sometimes are not able to make adjustments. I know that we worked with PennDOT for the College Street stop sign. We were really happy that they gave it to us without a whole lot of hoops to jump through. But just as Mayor Scott said during the Asian Support March, that we need to advocate at higher levels to the folks that have power that we don't. I think that this is important. I think folks don't really understand how this manual affects our daily lives and how we can make streets safer. So that very long education and reading is basically to ask that we can have something submitted during this time before May 14th, and I'm happy to work with staff to look at some of the options.
Thank you for that report, Brenda. Mr. Hicks, you and I are the Public Safety Committee. Would you be opposed to perhaps considering a letter at our workshop meeting in May?
I would be pleased to.
All right, thank you very much. So if staff can get something together for us to look at by the May workshop in that regard, and we'll report out under public safety. All right, Borough Manager shaking her head. Thank you very much. All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's see, where are we? Councilor Fulham Winston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been a week where we really got to see more about our community, because in addition to the march to support our Asian and Pacific Islander friends and neighbors, there was also a small demonstration in front of Barb Glime's office on Monday to object to her ridiculous and hateful bill that would have an impact on women's sports. Having played sports all through high school, I find it offensive on every level that she would diminish transgender youth, that she would discriminate against them for absolutely no reason, since there is no scientific basis to back up this ridiculous and hateful bill. And I would ask anyone who happens to be listening to this particular meeting, please be in touch with Ms. Glime and tell her she needs to stop. This is just hate mongering rather than legislation. And perhaps she could focus on something really useful, like farmland preservation or environmental protection or cleaning up the tax situation or protecting people who want to vote, providing affordable housing for people, doing something that actually has a positive rather than a negative impact on the community. But I thank the other people who came out to express their opinion. And I think the fact that Carlisle is becoming a very active place politically is good for the entire community. Thank you.
Good for the community, not so good for some of our legislators. Thank you very much, Deb. Joel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to kind of follow up with what Brenda was saying, because these issues all sort of come together, whether we're talking about personal safety, whether we're talking about encouraging people to use other means besides getting in their vehicle to do everyday errands. I live on a strip on Hanover that I can guarantee you the posted signage is less than the 85th percentile of cars going down on the first warm day of spring. And I see a lot of people, I'm seeing more and more people on their bikes, and I'm seeing more and more people on their bikes on the sidewalk. And part of me wants to tell them that's not the appropriate place to ride your bikes, which is true. And part of me wants to say, I'm glad you're getting, using another means of transportation. I happen to live on a segment of street that is not particularly bike friendly. And there is a lot of speeding cars in this short segment. So, whether it's meeting, maybe using a little less fossil fuels in our cars to do everyday chores, but also being safer. These issues all work together, and that's part of the reason I'm happy to work with Brenda and you on looking at this again. Before I get into economic development, just a couple things. I wanted to do a shout out to Stephanie Taylor. We recognize her appropriately, but I don't think we can actually do it enough. She has taken on board so many projects without balking and doing a wonderful job. And I really applaud everything she's doing, supporting all of our commissions and boards, supporting staff and council, and doing it with a smile and doing a really nice job. She's working to roll out a new way for us to interact with the community. And she's really putting a lot of effort into that, and I think the results are paying off, and I just really appreciate her work. You know, as we got the Amani Fest getting lined up, we got some roads blocked off on the docket today. I really want to encourage folks to look and find out that we have a lot of our economic groups planning events coming up, which is great. And I want to shout out to DCA for starting to plan a series of Keep It Small Saturdays. And you can look for more information as they plan sort of small attractions to do what we really need to be focused on. And then as we start to reopen is focusing on our small businesses, because they need our help the most. And let's support DCA and all of our economic development groups, the Chamber and Destination Carlisle. They're all doing wonderful work, and I look forward to seeing more of you in person. You're going to see some nice flowers that are going to be put out that DCA is responsible for coordinating. So the beautification, I'm looking forward to it, and they do that almost without notice, but I notice it, and if you do see Glenn, tell him, give him appreciation for some of that behind the scenes work DCA is doing. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Joel. Mr. Crampsey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. You know, I might be getting to sound like a broken record, but I wanted to take a minute tonight to give a shout out to staff, kind of piggybacking on Councilor Hicks as well, Borough Manager Armstrong and Assistant Borough Manager Snyder, and all of staff. You know, now we're a little over a year since the pandemic started, and staff hasn't missed a beat. They've, you know, they're the ones that have been doing all the hard work, and our solicitor as well, reviewing a lot of the things that we vote on and drafting things and taking meetings. And I don't think any of our services dropped off over the past year. I would venture a guess. I would think our productivity might have actually gone up. So it's really, you know, a testament to the great community that we live in. And we're lucky to have a staff and dedicated folks that work every day on our behalf. So shout out to them. Thank you all for all you do. And then, you know, another small shout out, or maybe a large shout out to our community, you know, specifically the Dickinson community and Dickinson Law School. Seeing students back is awesome, and seeing them all wearing masks is even better. You know, if you see the news nationally, you do see we have had universities, you know, go back into lockdown and have issues, and that, you know, to my knowledge, has not been the case here, because students are being great community members, and that's awesome to see. And we do have a great community. And while I'm talking about COVID, I hope everyone who is eligible to get a vaccine will do that. I know our local media outlets have been doing a great job informing folks. I just checked the website today for the county appointments, and there's a bunch on Saturday. There's a bunch on Monday. I would urge people in 1A and 1B to get those shots, because April 19th, the vaccines are open to all Pennsylvanians, which is great news. But I'd have to imagine that appointments will get a bit tougher to get. So, you know, continue to wear your masks, get vaccinated if you can, when you can. And I think, you know, hopefully in a few months, we can all be back in Borough Hall looking at each other and having a fully in-person meeting. Thanks.
It'd be nice to have some friends up here. So thank you very much, Mr. Crampsey. Next up, Espoir. Proud to see the Dickinson support yesterday at the rally. And I understand that your time with us is coming to an end.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. That is true. It is sadly coming to an end, but I, just echoing the words of Councilmember Crampsey, could not be more grateful for the opportunity this year to learn so much from you all on Borough Council in a pandemic on Zoom. I feel, really, really grateful for that. Some updates on the Dickinson side, but before that, I just want to echo the comments that were made around the Carlisle Walks for Asians march on Tuesday and the trans rights rally on Monday at Barb Lime's office. It's really exciting always to see folks from the community stepping out, and hope and yeah, that action will continue, and we'll all continue to hold ourselves accountable to different forms of solidarity that we're able to do. As the mayor said, graduation is happening on the 15th, and move out is starting on May 9th, as well as happening on the 16th, the day after. The Dickinson COVID dashboard continues to be a public resource for folks to see what COVID statistics are like on campus. As Councilmember Crampsey said, students are required to wear masks all around and are doing a great job of doing so. May 5th, and graduation online is on the 23rd. There have been no official decisions about the fall semester, but I'm sure Dickinson College will communicate them as soon as they are made. And there will be no in-person performances or events open to the public as the semester wraps up. It is very much the season of end of semester performances and that kind of thing. They will continue to exist on Zoom, so keep an eye out for those. And as part of my involvement on the community engagement team with the climate action plan here in Carlisle, I just wanted to share that there are lots of exciting things happening on Earth Week coming up in a couple weeks. And you can hear more about them on the Instagram page, as well as the website page on the Borough website. Yeah, I think that's all for my update. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Espoir. And our law school ambassador, Stephen Spear, I note that your last day of classes at Dickinson Law is April 30.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor, making this my last meeting as well. So I have two bits of happy news, followed by one bit of sad news, followed by, I will follow it up with more happy news. So first, coming up tomorrow is our Law Review Symposium. It will be conducted online. There is still time to register. And the topic that they're going to be discussing is juvenile criminal justice. This is one of those areas where all of the issues that we talk about when it comes to racial justice, when it comes to inequality, they are exacerbated at the juvenile level. And that is exactly what this symposium is going to talk about. So I encourage you all, if you're available, to tune in at some point during that program. It does require advanced registration. All you have to do is just Google Dickinson Law Review Symposium, and you can find that link. It's very easy to find. It's free. Any attorneys out there, you can get CLE credits for attending. It's a great opportunity for all. Second, we have graduation coming up next month. It's going to be at the drive-in in Middleton, I believe, and we're having it in person. So, a drive-in graduation. Who would have thought? That leaves me with this, that this is my last meeting, and so it's time to say goodbye. However, I would like to, with that happy bit of news, introduce our next law student ambassador, Mr. Fredner Prevelis. He's a 1L. He's going to soon be a 2L, and he'll be filling my role for the next 2 years as well. He comes very highly recommended. So, while I still have this soapbox for the next 60 seconds or so, I did want to say one thing about my time here with the Borough Council. Councilwoman Landis reminded us today the importance of getting involved. Democracy is decided by those who show up. That's the truth. Because in a democracy, everyone gets a vote. But if you don't exercise that vote, or if you're not allowed to exercise that vote, you don't really get a say in the process. There's all kinds of pieces of our legislative structure out there that people aren't even aware of. I, for one, was not aware of the importance of the guide, which Councilwoman Landis just told us about. There's all kinds of things out there at the state, local, and federal level. So if there's a cause that you're excited about, something that you care about, look into it. Why is it the world is the way that it is? The immortal words of Dr. Seuss, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. That is the truth. That is the calling card of our democracy in the United States. This is the world that we get to shape. And I'm proud that I have gotten to live in this town in Carlisle for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, we missed out on a whole year worth of events due to a pandemic. But that doesn't mean that I did not feel like I was secure and safe and happy in this town, because I grew up in a town similar to Carlisle. And nowhere have I felt more at home than in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I don't know what the future holds for me yet, but I know that I will always hold Carlisle in my heart. And I know that Dickinson Law will always be here for you guys as well. So make sure you all get involved. If you're listening here today, find something that you're passionate about and do something about it. Get involved. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you for those kind words, Stephen, and know that you'll always be welcome in this Borough Hall, as well as you, Espoir, too. So you're all part of our family. Mr. Solicitor, anything for the good of the order, sir?
I do not. I can't possibly follow Stephen's comments. They're beautiful.
I know, right? And Madam Manager, I believe you'd like to do an introduction?
I would, sir. Thank you very much. I would just like to take this opportunity to introduce to everyone our newest member of our senior staff, Amy Barrier. Amy has come on staff as the Borough of Carlisle's new Human Resources Risk Management Manager. She comes to us with at least 16 years of HR background, but she has a very strong background and proven successes in building and directing human resources programs and policies, using her advanced technical skills. And she has this roll up your sleeves approach to issues and solving issues. And I can't be more pleased, and I know that staff is, to welcome Amy on board. Some of her professional references noted her strong work ethic, integrity, competency, communication, but more so her positive, fair, constructive workplace approaches. So with that being said, Amy has been on staff now since Monday, March 29th. So I thought it was only, it was good timing to have her come to you during this council meeting. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Amy and see if she'd like to say a few words to everyone.
Thank you. So yes, everyone has been very welcoming, so thank you. And I'm learning a lot about the borough and the community. I've spent the last couple of weeks visiting various sites and small businesses and learning about how the borough functions and meeting employees. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to serve borough, and I'm really excited to make a positive impact. And I just also want to say that I'm really proud to be part of a group and a community that is so supportive of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I really look forward to making a positive impact there as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Amy, and welcome to the team. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Manager, is that all you have?
That is, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.
Have a good night, everyone.